Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Local Pundit. We are starting out a new show today on the Local Pundit Network. And today it is Perk with a Pundit, where we get to know all of our community. Really excited about today. Like to welcome everyone in. As per usual, Drew does whatever first. I'm sure Drew might well be a bot, and Nick wasn't too happy about it. So congratulations, Drew. I will get straight into it, and then we can get into some questions later. So today, our first guest on the show is Wayne Evans, and I will bring him in now. How are you, Wayne?
Hi, Ken. How are you, mate? G'day.
I'm really well. Well, I don't know whether you saw this morning's show with Josh, but apparently I've been begging him for months. And the real truth is, we had a lot of comments in the background saying we've got to get Josh off the TV. And we start out with an origin story. So let's find out a little bit about you. Tell us about yourself.
How do you start? I grew up at Tweed Heads, which is a lovely place on the Gold Coast in Australia. I've only ever really done a couple of things in my life. I'm a concreter at the moment. That's my job. And I played a bit of sport when I was younger. I played a lot of sport as a kid. Didn't follow football a whole lot, but watched a lot of Australians doing well overseas, obviously. I like watching Aussies do well in the world. And then found the Welcome to Wrexham series and found a lot of things I could associate with it and just got hooked. And I follow football.
Yeah, sure. That's fantastic. Well, I think you're being a little bit modest because when you did reach out, so for those of you that don't know, Wayne played rugby league, so football, which is, a very contact sport at a very high level. 1993, you represented Australian schoolboys. And then
done your research, Ken.
Hey?
You've done some research.
Mate, I've had the private investigators and the paparazzi in your yard doing the homework. And then you started playing. You played at South Tweed in a more of would that have been the QRL or was that a different?
That was just my junior league team.
Junior league team.
Junior league.
And then you were recruited to what was called the Western Reds, which was like a national football league in 1995. Tell us a bit about your rugby league history from there
on. The year before I went to St. Greg's, when I played Australian schoolboys, I went to a boarding school, which was called St. Gregory's College. It's probably like the best rugby league school in Australia. We won the national competition. That's about 440 schools start that. And then I ended up in Perth. Perth was a good place to live, but as far as football club cultures, it was my first big lesson in how not to run a club, I suppose, in a dressing shed. After that, I ended up at a great place called the Melbourne Storm, right at the start of it, which has turned out to be a pretty successful venture, very successful.
And just
after that,
further, I'll just give people a little bit of context on that. The Melbourne Storm is probably one of the best football franchises in Australia. Would you agree with that?
Possibly one of the best in the world, I would say.
Okay.
Success-wise and the way the club is, and just they don't have too many bad years, and they just keep making great teams out of players nobody's heard of.
And they're in the grand final this coming up this weekend too, aren't they?
They won the minor premiership and they're in the preliminary final
preliminary.
Yeah, if they win, we have two preliminary finals and the two winners play in the grand final.
Yeah. So what happened? So what years were you at the Melbourne Storm?
I was there for the first 3 years they came into existence, 98, 99 and 2000. I had another year in the NRL after that, and then I ended up over in England playing for the London Broncos, which I'd been to England a couple of times before that playing football too. So I've played on a few grounds, maybe that Wrexham will play on this year, a couple of soccer grounds here and there. So I never really followed football when I was over there, but
yeah. So
Wrexham sort of got me. I played one year of football when I was about 5 years old, 1980, I think.
yeah. Yeah, Hip Karma did ask whether it was league or union, and some of the people are commenting saying, yeah, obviously rugby league. Now,
okay. I can't see the comments. Sorry, everyone, but hi, everyone, if I have missed anyone. Yeah, it's a lot of people get rugby union and league confused. It's they're very similar, but if you probably watch 20 minutes of a normal game of each, you'd pretty quickly work out the difference.
Yeah.
And they both came from football originally.
Yes,
that's why some of the positions. That's why some of the positions have similar names. I would say wingers and centre backs and centres and halfbacks and all that.
Yep. And I noticed. Now, again, you've been a bit modest. I did do my homework, Wayne. In the year 2000, your last year, the Storm, you got injured, but the team won the grand. Was it 99? Won the grand final.
Yeah.
99 won the premiership, and then the following year, the winning rugby league team from Australia plays against the winning rugby league team over in the UK, which was that St Helens?
Yeah, that was St Helens.
And you played. It's called the World Club Challenge, and you played that in 2000. And explain to people what position you played.
I played front row, which is a forward in rugby league. You're just pretty much one of the blokes in the middle who just gets paid to cart it into a lot of other big blokes and get the ball
Run it up hard. Relate that to gridiron. Think like a linebacker or someone up front that runs the ball. That's a big hard defense and attack.
Yeah. I was a lot bigger back then. I've lost a lot of weight. I'm probably more my natural weight.
How much did you weigh
then? Back then I would have been about 107 kilos, which is
we don't care what you
235, 240 pounds, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fit.
In that game, you scored a try.
Yep.
That's a pretty big achievement.
Didn't happen very often, but you never know your luck. Yeah. No, the thing with that was, and another association with Wrexham is we basically went from not even being thought about as a club to being the best club in the world in 2 years. And we won our national competition in our second year, which was there was teams that one team a few years ago, Cronulla, it took them 50 years. We're in a non-rugby league area. There's teams from rugby league areas that take 20 years, 25 years to win their first title. It was pretty, we were sort of, I don't know, I just saw similarities with Wrexham going into League One and everyone. I don't know. I watched those trials at the start of the year. Their defence looked awesome in America. Just sort of moved around as one big organism,
Yep.
Chelsea only scored a couple of scrappy goals, I thought. I don't know. I just had a good feeling about this year. So
how did you get into following Wrexham?
Just started binge watching TV. It kept coming up as a suggestion, and once I start doing something, I either don't do it or I do it at 1,000%. So I kept putting it off. I finally did watch it. Things just started jumping at me straight away. My name, obviously, I was always told we were Welsh. So that got me into looking at family history. I found out we came from the Black Mountain area. I was hoping it was near Wrexham, but not quite. It's probably a long way away in Wales, but not that far away in Australia. My family moved away from there 200 years ago, so it's a bit of a distance there. But I lived in 3 pubs by the time I was 5 years old, and the race course was right there at the start of the show, and his name was Wayne, and my name was Wayne. And I was telling you the other day, Ken, it was only a month ago I was driving around and I realised I saw a number plate with my initials on it. I never realised my initials are actually the first three letters of Wrexham, whichever way you want to spell it, WRE. So I never had a football team because I never followed football, so I don't feel like I'm cheating on any other football team. I finally got a football team to follow.
Fantastic. So how many
Yeah,
years ago?
the whole, and with the Storm thing, I kept hearing the no dickhead policy, and that the Storm's been like that from day one, and it works. Like, it just works.
Yeah.
It's a good dressing, a winning culture in a club. It's, I don't know, it's a magic formula. It's a magic formula. It's hard to find. It's hard to say. I don't know. It's hard to replicate, but every now and then it happens, and it just seems like it's happening at Wrexham. If you're gonna win stuff, your whole club's got to be going. The front office, your marketing team, everyone's got to be traveling down the same road in the same direction. And if everyone gets on those trips to Vegas, don't underestimate how valuable they are to the culture of the team. People get very honest when they drink alcohol. The more they drink, the more truth they speak. So it's a good way to get to really know people. It's old school. I saw Parky do a thing the other day talking about in his day they used to go out and have a beer and talk about their problems, and that's how we all dealt with it back then. It's a bit different these days. Yeah, I just saw a lot of similarities between the Storm and Wrexham. There's a lot of differences too, whereas we were new and they've obviously got the history. They've got the media thing going on. We had nothing. We honestly had nothing when we started there. We'd all probably signed for other clubs and didn't even realise that club was starting. We had about 3 months to get ready. Most other clubs have a couple of years to get ready. Yep. And just from day one, I think we were leading the comp halfway through our first season. We were favourites to get the wooden spoon. So
yep.
Anything can happen. That's the beauty of sport. Anything can happen. Look at Leicester City.
So, I mean, interesting. So when did you start watching the Welcome to Wrexham show? How many years ago?
Oh, it was only when I started getting all the pin drops and that for the scores. We were going pretty good last season, and that before we hit a bit of a slump, before we came good again. But I'd probably been binge watching a heap of stuff for a couple of months before that. I just couldn't get enough. I was scouring YouTube for any content I could find, and
yep.
I ended up watching shows about Crystal Palace Academy, I think, and all sorts of things. I saw a thing on Steve Crouch, and I wondered if Sam Dolby was our Steve Crouch, and he just needed a Harry Redknapp to love him, and like a baby giraffe who just had to find his legs, you know.
So have you got a favourite player or a player that you would relate to in the club, you think, that reminds you a bit of yourself?
Well, I don't know about myself. That our games are a lot different. They're the same and they're different. Team sports are the same, but as far as dressing sheds and the biggest thing to have in a club is a winning culture. Everyone wants to go to a club where you think you're a chance of winning games, because the whole club's unhappy when you're not winning, and everything doesn't seem like too much of a problem when you are. Except at the moment we don't have any injuries and we're a bit blessed, and the only thing, so everyone needs something to talk about, and that's who's playing where and who's getting dropped, and it's a good problem to have, but injuries might sort all that out soon, and extra games, and you play a lot of games in football. That's another reason I wanted to follow, because you've got stuff happening all the time, transfer markets and the amount of games you play a year and how long your season is.
Yep.
I was thinking about that, and I'd have to say probably Maxi, because if he hangs around, I'll get to support him for a long time, and
okay, Maxi
just think he's a gun.
Okay,
Yeah, he can.
that's a good one.
He's good at the back, and he's pretty handy up forward too.
Now, I'll involve the chats here because I did have some other questions. But Frankie S, who's also in Australia, asked Wayne about going from an old stadium to a new one, something Wrexham is facing. Yeah, give us. I mean, I guess Melbourne would have been a brand new place.
Yeah,
for you to play.
we had an old stadium from the Melbourne Olympics back in '56 or something, and I go down there. We still have reunions for the old boys. I go to the new stadium, and I'm like, wow. I saw people complaining about the laser shows and that the other day at Birmingham. But if you see what they can do with like light shows and signage and advertising at modern stadiums, it's incredible. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's almost a bad thing. Half the time you spend more time watching the lights than the actual game itself.
is that as a player?
So you need the atmosphere. If Frankie's from Melbourne, I'm pretty sure, so he knows Amy Stadium. That bowl sort of situation, Coliseum, like atmosphere. You can't. Atmosphere gives you adrenaline. Adrenaline's probably the best natural drug you can get. It's hard to replicate when you finish sport. You're sort of always looking for it again, but it's hard to find. Makes you feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Adrenaline does.
You're probably not getting that adrenaline rush as a concreter, I wouldn't imagine.
No, you can't. No, it's yeah. Crowds and fireworks and noise and what the game, what's on the line with the game, all that. It's
Yep.
I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's yeah.
And you're obviously hooked
I
on Wrexham.
can sort of see Frankie's question here. Sorry, same.
Yeah, you're right.
Something
Yeah,
Wrexham and the
so
Storm.
ask Wayne if you'd like Wrexham and Storm to have a partnership. Wrexham
Well, bellyache. And that's another funny thing. Another coincidence there. I heard the Welsh coach is Craig Bellamy. The Storm coach is Craig Bellamy.
Yep.
Yeah. So, mate, anyway, Parky. Sorry, Parky.
Move your camera a little bit. Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Okay.
Yep.
Parky and Bellyache would get on unreal, I reckon. They're pretty much the same sort of coach.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Bellyache's
Same
the nickname for Craig Bellamy.
Yep. Yeah.
And if you want to watch some funny footage, you got to YouTube search Craig Bellamy in the interview box because that's hilarious.
What is it? He's got the same birthday as me, Craig Bellamy.
Well, and I was going to save this for this sign off, but if I'd got you on next week, I would have been able to wish you happy birthday on the day.
1 week. I'll be 50 in 1 week.
Yeah. And happy birthday to you for next week, mate.
Thanks, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Sorry, well,
I can't read. Yeah. Okay. My eyes are starting to go. I'm nearly 50. My eyes are shot.
Well, I've just got you covered, and I'm wearing glasses. So yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of when you watch the team play, and we're talking about winning culture, what do you see in the team at the moment and how they're going?
Well, you look the way they talk in interviews. Ivan pays a lot of heed to that. You can tell by the way they're talking. They've all got pretty good attitudes at the moment. Like I said, those trips to Vegas are invaluable. That just brings them so tight, together. I don't know. It's just a really good culture with the whole who's playing, who's not playing. Parky would be having conversations with them blokes all the time, walking past them in the hall, calling them into his office, whatever. They'll all know exactly where they stand. They're professional sportsmen. They're very competitive. You don't get to that level unless everything in your life's not a competition. Like they'll be playing chess at training and it'll be a big deal who wins chess, table tennis tables. Everything's a massive competition. When you're you've got to be competitive to get to that level, I think. So they'll be constantly ranking themselves in their own heads where they're at in the squad, and and you have to be a realist being a sportsman. You have to get a really thick skin because you're going to have a lot of setbacks, disappointments, unless you're a golden child superstar. A lot of people are just on the fringe. They're around, but so some weeks you're in, some weeks you're out. That's just life. And yeah.
So do you see the culture in the Wrexham club as being quite good?
Oh, it's fantastic, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems to be. They all seem to be laughing and joking around when they're not training, and that's a pretty good sign. If they're
Yeah.
all just sticking to themselves with their headphones on and not talking to each other, and that probably wouldn't be a very good sign. Just the no dickhead policy is a massive thing. I've been at clubs where the playing group's not, and it reflects on the field and the results. Just loving it at the moment. I love winning. Winning ugly is okay because to me, you just don't really have a final series unless you're in the playoffs for a relegation spot. So it's all about, in rugby league, that's just our minor premiership. If you win on points at the end of the year, that's your premiership.
Yep.
So to me, the holy grail is every 3 points every weekend. It doesn't matter how you get them. It's good to be performing well, so you're pretty sure you're going to keep getting your next few lots of. Like, you start to panic if you only just scraping by, but a good team will just scrape by.
Yep.
Someone will do enough to win the game. They'll have to go back and look at what's going on behind the scenes. Do they need to be freshened up? Does something need to be tweaked or whatever? But when you're flying and you're winning, and geez, you don't really have too many problems in life if you're winning.
Yeah.
Everything, sponsorship, crowds, wins. You attract better players to your club. Better players don't want to leave your club. Everything is related to winning. It's just the way sport is. It's not amateur sport, it's professional sport. Amateur sport's about fun, professional sport's about winning. It's cruel to say it, but that's reality. And in that dressing shed, that's Parky's little universe, and he's the master of the universe in that shed. And his career's on the line, really, with every decision he makes. So, it's hard for us to all sit there and tell him what to do. It's not our job on the line. So, it's good fun, but it's, none of us are going to change his mind, no matter how much
And what do you think of Parky as a, well, I'll call him a coach or a man? Well, they call them managers, but you think of him as a coach.
Yeah, I think he's I like his style. I'm very old school. I struggle with all this. You saw me trying to get set up with you the other day, Ken. It took forever. He's old school. I like that. Hey, pardon?
Are you related to Aaron from the tech side of things?
Interesting thing. Couple of interesting things for Aaron. First is I'm out at the truck doing this, and second one was one of the grounds I played at over there. I looked up; it doesn't exist anymore. It was called Don Valley Stadium in Sheffield. Sheffield must have only used it for a training ground, but Rotherham from 2008 till 12 used it as their ground while their stadium was getting rebuilt.
Yep.
So Aaron might have visited Don Valley Stadium a couple of times about 10 or 12 years ago. Who knows? Supporting his team.
Yep.
No, Aaron's all right. No, he's so old school. It looks like the way they happy to defend down their own end and then do, I don't know what you call it, breakaway. To me, that it's we call it eyes up footy. Like you've got a bit of a basic plan, but when you turn and the field's open in front of you, don't have any real set. Like you play what's in front of you. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain.
So I would relate that to like the quick transition when we go from defence into attack.
Yeah, because we have each tackle, you know, and then you get a chance to see what's going on in the defensive line, and you obviously aim for weak spots and that, and playing like looking for holes, blokes running into holes, blokes in AFL they call it a lead. But as far as I see everyone keen to sack him for the Premier League, I don't really understand that. I do every now and then get to see inside professional sport team offices and dressing sheds and that, and it blows me away these days how many staff and that are involved with teams. We were lucky to have 4 or 5 staff, and that included our trainer and physio, and you know, now you go in there, there's like 15, 20 people. There's a coach for this and a coach for that and a video dude and a stat dude and I don't know. There's almost a coach for every position. The man management thing is massive, keeping everyone happy. They'd still all be playing under his. I know everyone goes on about his formations. I don't know anything about football, so I can't talk about that. But it's I don't know, some of the most successful coaches here, when you hear they're not even doing, they are coaching, but they're not doing as much coaching as what you think these days. Everyone else is doing it all. And if they teach their players well enough, the really good players are almost doing half the coaching on the pitch these days.
I don't know.
It's one of them things, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And just because, and I've heard he's been at higher levels but not had the money to do anything about it, like that's got to hurt. You don't, like, you're sort of up against it if you don't have people backing you up. That's I did watch Sunderland Till I Die for a bit of as a reference point, because they kept mentioning it at the start of Welcome to Wrexham. So I thought I did a little diversion and thought, I better. And then they hardly mentioned it again after that. But definitely saw how not to run a football club. And then I started watching Welcome to Wrexham, and I just couldn't believe how good of owners they were. And how much they just left it to people who knew what they were talking about. That's the secret.
Just quickly, if anyone does have other questions, feel free. Josh did ask who's your favourite player. You already mentioned probably Max Cleworth. Welcome Hip Karma, who's another Aussie watching in. And Frankie Yes is in there again. The good call about sacking coaches, unheard of down here in Australia, which is when people say down under, for sacking as fast as they do in the old world.
It's very cutthroat over there.
And so how do you see us going this season then, Wayne? What's your thoughts? How do you reckon we'll go?
Well, I'm a bit shy public speaking. I was always shy as a kid, and I've been wanting to ring up for weeks actually, and
he's just frozen up. Just give us a second. You might have to move your phone, Wayne, if you can hear me. He is related to Aaron. They've got the same internet provider. So just give it a second. He'll probably come back in a second. And look, so yeah, everyone out there in the chat, great to see everybody there. And please feel free to throw some questions at Wayne. And really appreciate Wayne coming on, even though his internet has frozen up just now. So, we call this a 2-spot, and there's just the 2 of us. So I've got to carry him for a little bit here at the moment. He'll have to move his.
Okay.
Look, he's back.
I don't know I didn't touch anything then. You disappeared as well.
Okay, so yeah.
Yes, I wanted. I don't know. I thought they were going to go pretty good, and then they started going good, and then I didn't want to ring up because how do you? I felt like what I was going to say was proven right, and I wouldn't press the button.
Just claim it. I do all the time.
Pardon? Yeah.
Just claim it.
Anyway, I'm glad they started winning. Yeah, you got to keep winning at the start of the year. You don't want stuff to get mathematical at the end of the season. Like, that's just never works out. Too much pressure for too many weeks. Just get the points in the bank and then switch off at the end of the year. Do whatever. Go on holidays early. Doesn't matter because you've already got points. I wouldn't stress the Birmingham thing. If you think about it, we only lose to Birmingham twice this year and beat everyone else and have a few draws. We're going to have a pretty good year. So no one else has beaten us yet. So
Wayne, I think you've just made Paddy and Aaron's stats show redundant right there. You've just solved our problem for the season.
well, no, it's sport. Like a sporting team can't stay up for more than 4, 5, 6 weeks. Like teams might have runs of 12, 13, 15 wins in a row, whatever, but they're not all going to be great wins. It's just a really good team that did enough to win a few weeks. You can't.
That's a great comment.
Sport, yeah, you can't stay up like that. That experience for them blokes at Birmingham, the way everyone went on about that, just the stuff on YouTube that week about that game leading up to it was out of control. The atmosphere that night, the people, the noise, and it's a race course and it's a home ground, but it's Crawley, and it's like, going from that adrenaline rush at Birmingham that night to a few, you can't, and they'd been on a high for 6 games, 7 games. Like you can't maintain it. Some players might maintain it, but the whole team won't maintain it. If you know what I mean, you can't stay up for that long. It's just, even in your everyday life, you don't stay up. You're not just purely happy for 2 months straight, are you? Like you're going to have bad days, and
unless you're Josh, because he's just living the dream.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hip Karma's asked here.
Not a bad life. You could end up with hands like this if you.
She goes,
Hey?
I don't know what I've missed. I'm wondering what Wayne thinks of the importance of team culture as opposed to individual talent or tactics.
Yeah, it's massive. It just, I don't know, just helps players dig deep for each other. You're not going to dig deep for anyone you don't like. You're not going to dig deep for a coach you don't like.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because the other night in the Crawley game, someone mentioned that they thought Elliot Lee played better when Paul Mullen came on, and I actually think Elliot Lee and Paul Mullen are pretty tight. And do you think like that could have a correlation there, that they're friends and they probably work off each other a bit better?
Maybe to a point, but they've been together for 2 or 3 seasons now, so they got a bit of a combination. Surely you got a combination happening after 3 years, otherwise you'd want to give it up. Like, it's like anything. If you start a job and you don't know what you're doing after a week or two, time to go find another job. Like, yeah.
Is there a lot of technique in laying concrete, mate?
Oh, not really, but it's just you got to get a feel for it. It's something you got to do every day for months, and then
Well,
and
mate,
then there's a lot of there's all different sorts of things come into it. It's like any job.
So, an interesting.
It's a good satisfaction. It's a good job satisfaction job.
Yeah, because you see the finished product.
Yeah, you can give someone a nice new driveway or something, and some young couple in their first new house, and
actually, I got a good question
on their faces. Hey?
I just thought of a good question for you. So, if like say Leyton Orient, who we're playing this weekend, now we will be their 4th match in 12 days. They played yesterday. In terms of recovery after a match, what was your recovery time like, and how did that go into the lead into your next game typically?
We would have a recovery session the next morning after a game. That could be swimming, light weights, hot and cold, dipping in ice baths and stuff like that. When we're in Melbourne, sometimes we'd go to Brighton Baths, which was pretty bloody fresh in the middle of winter in Melbourne. Didn't really enjoy that. Even St Kilda Beach in the middle of summer in Melbourne's freezing cold. I grew up on the Gold Coast. That's weird to me. And then you do a recovery session, have the rest of that day off, probably the next day, and then you'd be back, say, 2 days after a game. You'd probably be sore till about Wednesday or Thursday, and then you'd start feeling pretty good by the end of the week, and then you'd play again, and then you'd be sore all over again. That was about it.
And you were playing a high contact sport too.
Yeah, and you feel like shit until you start running. Once you warm up, you feel okay. But yeah, once you warm up, you can do anything. It's just when you get older, you feel everything.
Yeah. So with that sort of in mind, if you were Parky this week, and I'll let you put your coach's hat on now, your manager's hat, and like they're playing their 4th game in 12 days. If you were Wrexham, what would you be wanting to do this weekend, coming out against Leyton Orient?
Well, they're going to be training most days anyway, because half the blokes aren't playing, so they're going to have to keep them rolling. Yep. And the other blokes will probably do 1 or 2 sessions, but probably not 100%. And any older blokes who've probably got their spot guaranteed and aren't feeling that great will let him know, and he'll probably just make them train for 15 or 20 minutes and let them sit on the sidelines or go to the physio room out of everyone else's sight. That's another reason I like Wrexham. Nothing gets out, a bit like the Storm. Players would feel very safe playing for Wrexham.
Yeah, we don't hear any gossip, do we?
No, but you don't. That's a good thing.
Yep.
Not for us, but it's a good thing for the players and the club.
Okay, which is the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to say on here too. When I wrote to Ken, I said I haven't really been a fan of anything for a long time. I obviously follow the Storm. I'm pretty proud of being part of the original setup at the Storm. Most of the other clubs I played for don't exist anymore, so I can't really follow them. One sort of exists as Manly these days, but I grew up hating Manly.
Me too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, so I just, like, I love sport, and I always watch sport, but I didn't really follow anything, and I didn't really get into the whole fan thing. As a kid, I was obviously a fan of sport, but because sport just became work in the end and a bit monotonous. I know that sounds a bit selfish to say, but that's what it ended. Yeah, you don't get much time to yourself in professional sport anyway. Yeah, but then Wrexham came along, and like I said, I didn't actually have a football team to follow, so now I do, and yeah, I'm not really sure where I started with all that, but
yeah,
that's why I follow. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really great story.
There we go.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's just like I said, I see the similarities. It's going to obviously change as if they end up spending more money in that. We were always underdogs down there, and I always see people just saying Wrexham won't do this and they won't do that, but they keep doing it. So I don't know. Maybe. Oh, that was the thing I was trying to say before. The way fans get into some players, some of you might have heard of it. There's a good thing written by Teddy Roosevelt called "The Man in the Arena." Before some people start bagging players too much, maybe they should have a read of that. That's all I'll say. That's what I'd like to say anyway.
Teddy Roosevelt, The Man in the Arena.
The Man in the Arena.
Okay, well, we'll have to look that up. There's a little nugget of gold there from Wayne. I love this. People saying great insight.
Nobody goes out deliberately trying to make mistakes in life. Shit happens. It's how you deal with it. Get on with it. Yeah. So players aren't out there not trying to be the best player in the world. They're trying their hardest. Things just don't always work. Things don't
Sometimes it
always come
goes
off.
well,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't.
Split-second decisions under huge fatigue. It's try it yourself.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Split-second decisions, heavy fatigue. Your body's screaming at you to stop running. Your lungs and your thighs are lactic, and you can't stop. You got to keep going.
That's the beauty of sport.
You got to make decisions that everyone else gets to rewind and replay 30 times and analyze. And
Monday's expert.
yeah. So yeah.
So Josh said he'd love to meet Wayne if Ken will let me. Ironically, Josh, apparently I begged him to do this show. He loves having a dig, and that's great. I love that. But
I like how Josh. I think Josh's birthday is October, which might make him a Libran. I love how he sees both sides of every story.
Yeah, he'll be 62 next month.
Yeah. Oh, you can see it. I'd have thought 65.
How did you get onto the local pundit?
Okay, with all my binge watching and trying to be a super Wrexham sponge, I kept coming across yous, and yeah, and then one day I was watching, and you said you're from Brisbane, and I was like, oh, Ken's from Brisbane, that's pretty close, and just started watching it, and then just realised it was a great show. I just, as a football complete newbie, and I don't know, just thought it was a real eclectic mix of people. Started reading, how you get to know, you think you get to know people on the chat and stuff, and I don't know. You got expertise with Sheldon and that. You got, I think Josh is a good host. I think he's got a great attitude. I don't know, just people coming and going, and it's always on. I think it's got great potential. It's just there every day. Like, you go through your list of live streams, the list goes as long as your arm, and you've only gone back 2 weeks.
Yep. No.
It's pretty cool. There's just something going. Some of your times are shit for us Aussies. I've got to get up at, set my alarm at 2 and 3 in the morning all the time now, and I've only got to be up a couple of hours later anyway. But yeah, and I haven't done iFollow, so I don't get to watch many games. I can sort of tell from what you're saying who should be coming off in that, because he's give away little hints on who's not getting around the park too well and stuff. So I'd love to see. I love Revan. I love Revan. Yeah, well, Josh, I'm third of the team, so you're 1 week after me. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Yeah.
Hey, I love Revan. I'd love to see every professional sport. Speed is a massive asset, and I don't know, Barney on one side, Revan on the other. If you're playing a game where you're happy for the other team to be down your end and then steal it off them and get it up the other end as quick as you can, why wouldn't you have your two fastest blokes on your two wings? I don't know. I'm not a soccer expert, but I don't know. Football.
It's funny you say that. I know you're playing it down, saying you're not we'll say soccer expert or football expert, but professional.
I was meant to play for them, Bruce. They paid for my schooling in Sydney, and then I signed for another club. I reneged on them. Yeah. I did sort of play for them as well when they were the Northern Eagles. They merged with Manly for 2 years and became the Northern Eagles. I played there for 1 year.
Yeah.
So sort of, but technically yes, sort of, technically no.
Yes.
The Bears. A lot of my mates play for the Bears, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the North Sydney Bears, which is sort of the North's Bears back Florimo and those guys. But you mentioned not being a football expert, but I can definitely say anyone that's played.
Frankie.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, tell Frankie. Someone else tries to claim it, but I was the one who decided they should play Thunderstruck for every game. Because Chris Appleby, our media manager, came out the car park the first year, said, I'm thinking about doing music for the entertainment. And I said, well, if we're called the Storm, we've got to do Thunderstruck. But Ben Rorty tries to claim it as well.
Which is
But
an
I reckon it was me.
AC/DC song,
Yeah.
Thunderstruck. For those of you that don't.
And you run out to it and the fireworks are going. And when I talked about adrenaline earlier, at that old Olympic Park stadium, our dressing sheds were under the old stand and they'd play Thunderstruck a bit before the game too, and all the crowd would be stomping with their feet above your heads in the dressing. Yeah,
And
it was pretty cool. Yeah, and you feel about this big. You feel like you could take a bullet.
Yeah, and any professional sports person at any decent level can definitely relate at some level that you mightn't have the expertise of the technical aspects of the game, but I can tell by your insight here into the locker room, player mentality, I can see how you can relate to it so well.
Yeah, I can tell who's struggling. I can tell. I've always been a big believer in watching a person's eyes always give away their intentions. Sometimes they're not always looking at what they were doing when they do the bad thing, but 2 or 3 seconds before that, their eyes did give it away. They just pretended not to look when they were doing it.
You'd be able to pull Josh up on stuff all the time, wouldn't you?
No, Josh goes all right. He's all right, Josh. He's pretty cool.
Okay, that's it.
That's why I got a haircut too, to make my head even uglier. So Josh might send me a hat because I can't work out how to order a hat.
I'll sort that out for you, mate. I'll sort that out for you.
I don't wear hats much, but I wear a local pundit hat. I wear a big hat at work for the sun.
I
don't know. It's the whole Ollie Palmer thing, and he started the season on fire, and I was wondering why that was, and I was thinking his contract's up this year, and I thought, well, if Wrexham do really well this year and get promoted to the championship, and he doesn't get a contract, well, that's going to be okay with him in his own head because he's not championship level. Everyone knows it. But if he plays crap and they don't get promoted and he doesn't get another contract, well, then he's not going to really feel too good about himself, is he? Because that's telling him a League One team doesn't want him anymore, or he's not good enough for that. So
that's a great point.
You see it in my sport a lot. People on their last year of their contract, they've done nothing for 2 years, and that last year of their contract, they set the world alight because that's reality and that's real life. You start wondering how you're going to feed yourself. So,
well, this is, I must admit, for everybody out there, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. This has been a really good insight, and you've got a lot of insight into professional football, which I've really enjoyed, and I hope you haven't sort of felt too much pressure coming on today.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, sorry, everyone. I go off in a lot of tangents in my head, and I get all jumbled up, and I've got so much to say, but I can't put it all, Sorry. I'm just a dumb old concreter. Just a dumb old concreter.
I think you're going well. Hip Karma, no, I'm not. What I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna have a chat to Josh, because we might get Wayne back on later in the season as the season progresses, because you might have some insights later in the season. I think that would be a great thing, because Hip Karma goes, am I going to let Josh on? And Josh says, thank you, Wayne. And Hip Karma says, "Or taunt Josh." I would much rather taunt Josh than let him on, because that just makes me feel better. And maybe that makes me a small person, but I can live with it.
I was very shy with public speaking as a kid, or if anyone ever stuck a camera in my face. But I think the local pundit's really cool, and thought this would be a good idea. And if anyone else wants to jump on, doesn't hurt. Haven't got any scratches or bruises from it, so yeah.
Not mentally scarred.
No, not mentally scarred. It's sort of fun, really, except for trying to get the light right on my phone earlier. So I hear other people talk. I think Nathaniel's a dark horse for being a sportsman.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard him talk briefly the other night. He's done something in his past, or he's watched a hell of a lot of sport. I'm not sure. But he
Okay.
sounds pretty onto it.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stories from everyone. I've
Absolutely.
done other interesting stuff since football. I've lived on tropical islands and
Yep.
worked in hellholes in deserts pouring concrete and
Mate, we might.
with temperatures you wouldn't believe. But yeah, there's got to be a lot of good stories out there. So I think we want to grow on it. I think we should grow the channel.
Yeah, I think we might get you back for a part 2. But I just want to say I really appreciated you coming on today for the first Perk with a Pundit. And someone is just itching to get on this show. He's brought himself on in the background. So I guess I will, like, seriously, for a guy that I begged and begged and begged, and now he couldn't help himself. So we'll bring him in.
Am I allowed to come in?
Of course, mate, it's your channel.
I'm allowed. Am I allowed to come in? I was sitting there. I was literally in bed. How you guys?
How are you, Josh? G'day, mate.
Hey, how are you? Good
Good,
to meet
mate.
you.
How are you?
How
Yeah, good to meet you.
You suffered through 51 minutes and 33 seconds with Ken. Holy crap! I love it.
That's all right.
No, you guys.
I was trying to if we had time, maybe, because I drive all over Brisbane for work, so I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we actually sat there and had a Wrexham lager while we were doing it or something? But
well,
yeah.
Ken has Wrexham lager there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it would put too much pressure on everyone else to have to fly in from all around the world to have a beer with Ken. So, didn't want to set a precedent.
But Ken is a good time. I'll tell you, he's don't let the hair fool you. He's a great time. He's a great time. Yeah. I was just sitting there. I saw the taunt and I was like, I'll come in. Normally I would not. But you guys
That's
the biggest load of crap. He can't help himself. But that's okay. Go hard.
It's great. It's great.
Doing a great job, Josh. I love the channel. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's, by the way, can I, Wayne? Amazing conversation you and Ken had. This is Ken's idea.
I get a bit.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I felt like I keep getting lost in conversation. Yeah, keep drifting off too much.
You've been great.
I don't quite get to my point all the time. I don't think. Yeah.
Welcome to live television. Yeah, welcome to live television.
Yeah, thanks. Another thing too. So when I decided to start watching every day, I thought I may as well become a member too. I went for your biggest one. It's only $1 a day here in Australia. I think that's pretty cheap entertainment.
Ain't bad.
$30 a month is the platinum one or something.
Yeah.
So
we just figured it out, Josh.
Yeah. I know. You just figured it out. Yeah.
Tell him the story. Tell him the story, Josh.
Oh,
well. The memberships. The
membership. Yeah, the memberships are. We all put it back in, and to be fair, like Wayne, send me your information. I'll get you a hat. What color do you want? Red? Sorry, not red. Black or green?
Black, I think.
All right, black. You got it.
Black.
Done. Yeah.
Josh, thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Why don't I pick it up when I come to America for him?
Yeah, Ken will pay for it. It's all good. Ken will pay for it. Free for you, I'll send it, but Ken will pay for it.
Ken can pay the excess baggage.
Yeah.
Excess baggage for Ken.
Yeah. This is great. So I would normally never dived into something, but like I just sitting there, him Karma was taunting me. I was like, oh, come in. But it's awesome. Ken, great job. This is great. I'll say honestly, what Ken is attempting to do, what we're trying to do is like, and I think it was embodied in what you guys did tonight was just like, hey, we have this global community and everyone, like, we all chat and we don't want the like there's a Frankie S, there's a Hip Karma, there's a Wayne, there's Steve, and let's just bring it all together and have a conversation. And I think that's so important. And I think that's what's indicative of what Wrexham is about. And I think Ken came up with this idea. He begged me for like 6 months, and I was like, yeah, we'll do it. And I think this is probably the perfect start to what it can be. And it's awesome. Ken is a badass. And Wayne, you were fantastic. And I was so jealous not to be. I was like I was a fly on the wall watching. So yeah,
Oh,
awesome. Thank you.
There's a great question.
Yeah.
Is a trip for Wayne to Wrexham
on his wish list? Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I'd love to do it. I raise kids on my own, and I got a couple of dogs. It's a bit hard to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I would love to.
we'll get him
I'd love
karma.
to, but honestly, it wouldn't be in the next year anyway. But anytime after that, who knows?
Yeah.
We'll get Frankie S or Hip Karma up to babysit, and you and I'll jump on a plane and we'll go.
Yeah, I've been to England 3 times. It's a fair trip.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a mission going to England from Australia.
Yeah.
But I'd love to. I spent most of my time around London last time I was there. I'm not real big on cities and stuff, so Wrexham would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far are you away from Ken? Did I miss that part?
About an hour.
By the time I got be about an hour and a half driveway to driveway, I reckon.
Okay.
But you got to drive through a whole city to do it.
Yeah,
that's
it happened. But is Hip Karma just becoming a YouTube member for the local pundit? Oh my god, I think that's untrue.
We just say thank you. Full stop.
Yeah, thank you.
Hip Karma is such a great contributor to the show.
Yeah.
So I just thought, oh well, what's $1 a day? And if it helps make the show better, or better and bigger and stronger, I'm keen to see this outline, whatever you're doing at the moment, the border.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keen to see that.
We are. So we're working on anything that happens. Like anything, any income we get in, I put it back into the show. Producer Ann, who's the boss, I just work here. We put it back into the show. Yeah,
she's a bot. She is not real.
Yeah.
Full stop.
She's not real. She's not real for sure. But we try, like, listen, nothing's perfect, but we're trying to put it back into produce a good show for all of you. And like, I watching this show, I was like, it's such a good idea to bring everyone, the community together a little bit more. So awesome. This is on Ken. He's the bad guy for doing this, which is great. This is awesome. And Wayne, your story's awesome, man. Story's awesome. So good.
Yeah.
Also, your internet is better than Aaron's.
And that was the one thing I wanted to say to all the other members. Don't be put off by the fact that Wayne has had such an amazing history and done all this stuff. This chat, you don't have to be a professional sports person. We just want to get to know everybody, whether you are a housewife, you dig ditches for a living. It doesn't matter. This is about our community and bringing everybody together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. I'm just a dumb old concreter now, so if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah. But can I just say something too? And I don't mean this in any way. I heard you say a couple of times you're like camera shy and everything. I'll tell you this. I was an actor for like several years, okay? But I didn't want to do the local pundit and get back in front of the camera. You know what I mean? And do that. I was so shy about doing it. And I know how hard it is to like get in front of a camera and just like talk and do that. And I thought Ken and you and Wayne, I'm sorry, I'm like kissing your asses, but it's like, I thought it was great to do that. So anyone that like does that, even if they don't put a camera in front of them, is awesome. So fair play. And I think this is exactly what it is to like kind of bring more of the community together. I think that's exactly what Wrexham does, bringing more people together. So Wayne and Ken, well done, man. Well done.
I think it feels a bit more comfortable. A lot more comfortable than stand up in front of your class as a kid, or someone having a TV camera right in your face, and lots of people might be seeing. I don't know. This feels a lot more comfortable.
Yeah,
and
it feels like we're all kicking around the lounge room having a chat, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's just a chat.
Yeah.
because we're global, like if I'm the next person, depending on where you are, anywhere in the planet, we will make the time suitable for you so that we can make it work. And then, so this week, this show in our Local Pundit network might be on at a different time every week, but I can promise you we won't put the show up for 10 a.m. and put it on at 7 a.m. or 1 p.m. like Josh does. We'll stick pretty closely to the programming.
So the next person that wants to come on and do a local pundit coffee with a pundit, please do it at stupid o'clock for Ken. So he's up at 3 a.m. Please do that. Wayne, tell him to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just daydreaming and I missed that. Yeah. You were talking about time. Sorry, Josh. I've got kids banging things.
I can hear that. I reckon, look, we've been going for an hour.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to get.
I think you're talking about times.
Yeah. The time zones.
Times are moronic for us.
Yeah. The Saturday game midnight.
Yeah, and then we finally get like a night game, but that sucks too because then I've got to take off for work it comes on at 4:45 in the morning. That's about when I leave for work.
Yeah.
So then I miss those games as well. So then I drive to work with the local pundit on the phone just above my head so I can hear. Yeah. Keep me going. It's cool. Keep me informed. Yeah.
We love having you for it. So I'm gonna kick myself out, but I'm thanking Hip Karma for being an upgrade member and a super member. And I just want to come in and say hi. This is Ken's show. I'm out. And Hip Karma, we love you. And Wayne, I'll tell you, man, I'll get you the hat. I love it. And good to meet you. And great show. And on that bombshell.
Cool to meet you, Josh. Good to meet you.
You too.
Thanks, mate.
Welcome any time. And on that
Thank
bombshell.
See ya.
Well, mate, we've been going for a little over an hour. It's been absolutely awesome. I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you'd like to say before you know how to sign off? You know the sign off.
What else do you say? Up the town and on that bombshell? I don't know how to sign off. That's the problem.
I'll do it for him. Well, for a first show, I could not be any more privileged than to have had a great chat with a member of our community, Wayne, who ironically lives about an hour and a half from me, totally random, never met each other. And I really want to say thank you to Wayne for coming on, having the chat, and looking forward to doing this show going on further and further. I'll get Josh to post up the link to the Discord in the chat because that's his level of expertise. So if you're not on the Discord, feel free to join in there, join the community. If you want to reach out and come on this show, I'm looking for people, all of our local pundit members, to come and have a chat, get to know you so that the rest of the community can get to know you. We all can become that closer, tight-knit local pundit community, part of this Wrexham culture, really appreciating it. And on that bombshell, we will see you all again next week.